You know, we do wish him the best, and that you get emotionally attached to everybody you got here as players, and so I'm not gonna he's not on our team anymore. He's a Minnesota Viking now, so I'm not even gonna go into that or anything there. He gave us some good plays while he was here. He had a good training camp, like I said yesterday, and I wish him the best. Yeah, we paid Coach Gannon and Coach Wilson a lot of money to do their job. So yes, and he's and CJ's a smart guy, and so we'll get him ramped up and get him ready to go. I know the guys have been working really hard. He's been working really hard, and the coaches have been working really hard to get him caught up. We did some things yesterday. We even got into a part of the field yesterday in the red zone that they didn't have a chance to install. But they were doing it a little bit on the field, even because you don't start with the install with red zone. But they caught him up, and he played. He had a good practice yesterday.
With Rager, he was drafted by a previous regime, at least in terms of the coaching staff. Was there a discrepancy there in terms of scheme?
No,
scheme was never an issue.
No, I didn't feel that way at all. Again, you're always, as coaches, trying to use the players to the best of their abilities, and our job as coaches, I know, I'm from the high school family of coaches, right? The kids that grow up in your town, you find the scheme that fits that group of kids. And so, our job as coaches is to find the scheme that fits the guys that you have in the building. And so I never feel that way about a player.
Nick, what's the latest with Miles?
You'll get an injury update from Bob as we come through. So he's getting better every day, and I'll never put a timetable on a guy, but we're hopeful, and we'll see what happens.
Last year, Rager was your primary punt returner. What are you guys planning on doing in that position now? And do you feel comfortable with the guys currently on the roster? Do you feel you have to make another move?
And remember, the roster's not just 53 guys, right? We have 70 guys at our disposal, and so we feel like we have good options. We still have a player left to be able to pick up on our team, so there's options there. And we're not playing tomorrow, so we don't have to make that decision quite yet. And but when you work a guy, just like at any position, right? You get multiple guys ready throughout not just the week of the game, but throughout entire training camp, throughout OTAs. So we feel like we have some good options there.
What do you like about Ian Book? What do you like about Ian Book, and why was he the choice there?
We did a lot of work on him in the pre-draft process, obviously, and so sometimes when you don't get a guy sometimes that you might want, there's a little bit of like, oh man, I kind of wanted him. Oh shoot, they took him, or whatever it is, right? But you do the work in preparation of a day when you have an opportunity to potentially get him. And so, we did a lot of work on him. We liked him in the pre-draft process. I have a close relationship with the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, Tommy Rees, who was my assistant wideout coach at the San Diego Chargers. And, I really trust Tommy's opinion as well. And obviously we trust our own eyes, we trust our own scouts, but, just a lot of work went into that. And I know Tommy said, one thing Tommy always said about him, and now this is a guy that won a ton of football games for Notre Dame in his program, is how good of a leader he is. How that there be weeks go by where that ball weeks or days went by that the ball didn't touch the ground because of how accurate he is. So we're excited to work with the tools that he has. We know he'll fit in well with the room and fit in well with the locker room.
Nick, what happened with Carson Strong?
We have to make tough decisions as far as who gets the reps, right? And when you have 4 quarterbacks on the roster, you have to make, you have when you have OTAs and when you have training camp, there's 3. Every other position essentially has 3 deep, right? And so you go in and there's 3 sets of reps. And so we started off early on in camp and OTAs and in training camp where they were splitting the reps, Carson and Reed. And Reed was having a really nice camp. Reed was having a really nice camp, and the reps went that way, and that's just basically what happened with the way Reed was having his practices. He earned more reps, and that's why he played more in the preseason.
Nick, on Monday, AJ Brown shared with us that he had a little mini speech that was centered around accountability. I guess from your perspective as this coach, how do you appreciate that? him stepping up in ways like that.
Well, shoot, yeah, you always want the leaders on your football team to, to deliver the message that they believe in, deliver the message that we believe in as coaches and we believe in as a team, right? Players and coaches. So, when you have good leaders like that, that's, they set the tone of how practice is. We might want to, as coaches, we might want to be out there and we say it to them all the time, you get better by the intensity of practice, but ultimately they're out there practicing and they got to get the guys going. And I think, AJ speaks to that.
What was the explanation behind when Davion was cut?
It was a numbers thing. That's really what it comes down to is we still have a spot. Yeah, we're still working on completing the roster. But a numbers thing as far as, and there's things obviously, Jeff, that are being worked on right now that, nobody that we, you guys don't know about, and we're obviously keep that low. But, but it was just a numbers thing where we were, and, we still want Davion to be part of this organization. We'll see what happens. And, he's done some good things and made some good plays for us, and so hopefully that's not the last time we work with him.
In December, you spoke about why some of the teams you've been a part of have peaked late in the year.
Mm-hmm.
The inverse of that is you've been a part of some teams that have started slowly. What goes into those slow starts? What contributes, to those?
As far as going into slow starts, I think just sometimes, whether it's maybe who you're playing, maybe your team's not ready to win yet. I think there's been times where I felt like on teams I've been on in the past, like we weren't ready to win yet. And what goes into that? Well, the culture had to be set. And I'm speaking of past places I've been at. The culture had to be set. The guys had to keep developing and getting ready. And a lot of different things go into that. Like, are the players ready? And then also, does everyone know the expectations of what's going on? And so that's what happens sometimes when you don't start fast. We feel like we're ready to go. We feel like we're getting closer, ready to go every single day with what we're doing and with how we're preparing, and that we'll be ready for Detroit.
Couple more illegal man downfield penalties on RPOs sometimes. I know we talked about it last year. It happened in the Cleveland game. Why is that so difficult, and why does that one in particular seem to rile you up so much?
Did I yell at the referee or something? Well, there's a fine line between it. The referees have a hard job. It's really hard. Like, is the guy 2 yards down the field when the ball was thrown, all these different things. And then there's some times where the defense takes that play away and you have to extend the play, and then you can't throw the ball downfield. And so you don't ever want silly penalties. And you don't and silly penalties might not be the right thing. You don't want repeat penalties either. You always want to be working on fixing the mistakes and correcting the mistakes that you make. And so I said to the guys really early on, like, okay, let's really dive down to why I yell. And one of the reasons, because I want them to know, like, here's why I yell. And sometimes, and maybe I'm off base sometimes when I say that. I don't tell them every reason I yell, but like one reason why I will yell is because of repeat mistakes. And it might not be a mistake that you made before, but someone in your position group made before. And so, but that's just in the process of how you get better every single day, and that you don't ever want to make repeat mistakes. Will we do it sometimes? Obviously, you're going to have multiple false starts. But we're trying like heck to eliminate repeat offenders and repeat mistakes. We did. Yeah, we did. And our coaching staff did a really nice job of everything we do as far as when we coach a play, we want the job description to be very clear and very obvious to the guys. Like, here's the job description, here's what you do versus all these different looks, and here's how we keep ourselves out of this. And so, we got great rules guys that help us with the rules as well. And we work crazy, and there was about 2 or 3 main coaching points. Obviously, I'll keep those to myself, but 2 or 3 main so with the other teams that are still struggling with that, but 2 or 3 main coaching points that really helped us get better at it and make some strides.
Last one, guys. We noticed that Jason Kelce.
I'll get one more. I'm kidding.
We noticed that Jason Kelce was back at practice yesterday and everything, and number one, like how good is it to have him back? I mean, and obviously it speaks for his chances for week one. And also, how much has his absence helped Cam Jurgens' development?
Yeah, so always happy when Jason Kelsey's on the football field. Obviously, I've told him this many times. Like when I'm the head coach here, I want him to be on the football team. There's no secrets in that. I don't know how many kegs I'll have to send next year or the year after that or the year after that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But we love having him out in the field, and it just always makes a big difference. And then, of course, when you get to work with first-team reps, when you have first-team reps to go and you're a young player developing, that's super important to any player. And so, Cam was able to develop from that, and and Jason helped him along the way with that as well. One last thing, just so you guys know, I can tell them the captains. Yeah, captains for this offensively are Jason Kelsey, Jalen Hurts, Lane Johnson. Defensively, Brandon Graham, Darius Slay, all right, and Fletcher Cox. And special teams, Jake Elliott.
Voted by teammates?
Voted by teammates. Yeah.
Real quick, is Kelsey still on target for week one?
We'll get you that injury report. Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.